Be our guest. Be our guest. Nah, you're not feeling that. It's okay. It's okay. Today we're going to head over to Be Our Guest restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. We're going to go over what to expect for breakfast there. And is it even worth the headache of trying to get in there, trying to get a reservation, trying to get seated and get back to the park in time? So let's just jump right in. Many fans of the Belle and Beast story will make breakfast at Be Our Guest at Disney a must-do for their trip, and I hope that you are thinking about it too. Here at the Magic Kingdom, you can dive deep into the majestic castle that we've seen so many times on the Beauty and the Beast movies. In the heart of New Fantasyland is where you'll come to enjoy the food offerings of this popular Walt Disney World Restaurant. In 2009, Disney made an expansion to the Fantasyland area of the park. Within this expansion, it was announced that there would be a restaurant, Be Our Guest, themed on the Beauty and the Beast films. The restaurant was then opened on the 19th of November in 2012 at a minor event, and services were offered to guests. However, the grand opening came on December 6, 2012, less than 3 weeks after this small little soft opening. At the start, they offered two types of services: over-the-counter lunch and table services for dinner. But now you can visit Be Our Guest and enjoy their breakfast service. Now let's go through all of the dining rooms that you will experience at this restaurant. The first area is the West Wing. The West Wing dining room uses the dark lightings to recreate the dreariness of the period when the curse had not been broken, and in the background you'll also hear this ominous kind of creepy music and some tunes that are played, and it's also a very dark room, but it is my favorite area because I'm a solo traveler, so I like to kind of be in the cut. The next room is the Rose Gallery. The Rose Gallery is a dining room that it is definitely less dreary than the West Wing dining room. The room is brightly lit and music comes from a tall music box that will surely catch your attention. The music box is about 7 feet tall and is made in the structure of Beauty and the Beast dancing, or Belle and the Beast dancing. The next room is the ballroom. This is by far the largest dining room at the Be Our Guest restaurant. The ballroom is perhaps the brightest of the three rooms, and it recreates the earlier moments when times in the castle were a little bit brighter and lighter. This room is brightly lit also, and you will see some snow outside the room, which is a very cool feature that you definitely do not want to miss on your visit. Now let's go through the breakfast menu at the Be Our Guest restaurant, as it is way different than the lunch and dinner menu. At breakfast, there are 4 main meals, but you will see on this menu that we are displaying that you can choose an array of things from the Feast à la Gaston, which is scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, and roasted potatoes served with fresh fruit, and this Belle-inspired dish, which is poached eggs, applewood smoked bacon, and brie on a toasted croissant served with fresh fruit. There are 21 items on the beverage list, including drinks for adults, which you can get in the Magic Kingdom, and a dessert menu. But currently, at the time when I went for breakfast, there was only one item, and that was the Master's Cupcake. For the little ones, they do offer 5 meals that are on the kids menu that they can select from. As far as getting any type of reservation, it is by far way easier to get a reservation for breakfast than it is for dinner or sometimes lunch. So do keep that in mind. Now let's go over a few tips to help you out on your trip to Be Our Guest. The first tip to note is that if you have any allergies, please make sure you speak with your chef or your cast member to let them know any of your dietary needs that you need to specify. Tip number 2 is that you will want to try to go to breakfast on any of the non-extra magic hour days. If Disney does decide to bring back the extra magic hours, then definitely plan your time on days that are not during that time, unless you are taking advantage of the early or extra magic hours. The next tip is that some meals contain uncooked ingredients, so definitely keep that in mind and make note of that on the menu before you choose your item. Another tip is that you may request to sit in the Rose Gallery or the West Wing, as we sometimes call it. It is definitely, like I said, my favorite area because it's more intimate and a little bit quieter, at least to me. The following tip is to definitely make your reservations. Like I said, breakfast isn't as hard as dinner, but you still want to definitely try to get a reservation if you can, just to secure your spot. Another tip is that you could get something special if you indicate on your reservation that you are celebrating something like a birthday or an anniversary, so do keep that in mind. The final tip is that in the West Wing dining room, try as much as possible to avoid the table closest to the Rose because this area gets a lot of foot traffic and you will see a lot of people trying to go over there and get photo ops, which may disrupt your breakfast. Now let's get into the best part, which is the food review. On my visit, I got the scrambled egg white that was served with chicken sausage, roasted tomatoes, and fruit. Everything was straight to the point for me. The chicken sausage had a sweet hint to it, which complemented the roasted potatoes. I did add a little bit of salt and pepper to both the eggs and the tomatoes to give it some flavor. My only complaint about the menu is that many of the items are pork-based, which is a meat that I do not consume. Because of this, I had a hard time finding a dish that was perfect for me. Plus, the ordering system for the counter service is not really set up in the most user-friendly way for you to substitute your meat options. If you do get to that point where you want the other options, but you do not want something like the pork feature, just have a cast member come over to you and then see if they can help you adjust the meat option. My favorite aspect was the basket of bread that I received, which came with croissants, mini cinnamon buns, muffins, and more that I had all to myself on a solo date at the Magic Kingdom, and I was able to take some home with me. I did get the Master's Cupcake, which came with chocolate sponge cake topped with Lumiere's special gray stuff. And man, oh man, was it absolutely delicious and the highlight of my dining experience. Not only was the gray stuff mixed to perfection, the cake was moist and not too overbearing in the chocolate flavor. I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed this dish that I thought it would be an overrated item at this Disney park, but it wasn't. My meal was then topped off by a peach Bellini, which I had to do because it was my first time enjoying an adult cocktail inside the Magic Kingdom. As far as customer service, it was okay. It was nothing to brag about. I made my reservation online and still had to wait in line to order my food like the standard counter service protocol at Disney. This is definitely something particular for breakfast that you do not experience at dinner. Once I ordered my food, I found a place in the West Wing, and the only thing my server did was check my ticket, and that was basically it. Someone from the kitchen bought me my food, and I was left to grab my own silverware and beverage at the nearby counter for breakfast. So I didn't see my server much during my trip. Overall, I give this restaurant a 7.7 out of 10 on the ThemeParkHipster dining scale. I give it an 8 for the ambiance, a 7.5 for food, a 7.5 for prices, and an 8 for drinks, and a 7.5 for service. I hope you enjoyed that review and overview of what you can expect at the Be Our Guest restaurant. I want to know, have you been there? Either for breakfast, for lunch, or dinner, and if you have been there, do you think it's overrated, or do you think everyone should have some breakfast there, or lunch, or dinner, whichever one? Let me know. Let us all know. Give us your recommendation and your review in the comment section below. Remember that if you want to have your own Disney World timeline planner, that I will leave it down there in the description below, and you can plan out 120 days in advance, 90 days in advance, 60, all that good stuff until you are finally here at Walt Disney World. I'm going to leave that link below. So with that being said, happy park hopping hipsters.